So I would like to call to
This
order
conference will now be recorded.
the South Burlington City Council special meeting of Tuesday, May 25th, 2021. And I'll start with welcome and the agenda review. Are there any additions, deletions, or changes in order of agenda items? Okay, seeing none. We don't ask if the public wants to make a comment at a special meeting. I think that got left off. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to comment on an item not on the agenda? Seeing none, okay. Let's try really hard to get through this by 7 because the issues have been somewhat discussed already and we had time to get additional information. So item 2 is discussion of possible action to approve a bid award for Allen Road shared use plan and authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute a contract for construction services with the winning bidder, Cortland Construction. So do we have a little report? I mean, you sent us stuff. Do people want to? We had we did get a memo from the Bike and Ped Committee. I mean, I didn't have any issues with it. I know, Tim, you had some, and Tom was kind of agreeing with the getting rid of, I guess, the turning part. But were your questions or concerns answered? Tom, you want to speak?
So the one question I have, and I'm glad that Justin's here, and I definitely would love to hear from 2 former DRB chairs, is the concern that the right-hand turning lane going away, will that be considered in future applications for additional housing on Spear Street? Like, for example, the Long property, would a restriction in the right-hand turning lane be something that would negatively impact developers that are trying to meet the much-needed housing demand along Spear Street in that area? Does that question make any sense, Justin?
Yeah, it does. If I may, with South Village, which I think represents in the last 20 years and probably for going forward for a while, certainly the largest housing development on Spear Street. There'll probably be a few dozen units here or there. But in general, the intersection capacity, being the grade C as indicated in the memo, is really indicative of a location that has adequate capacity going forward to handle additional development. And it's probably never such a nice edge, Tom, that the presence or the absence of a right turn lane, for example, would make or break an application. Again, in terms of the infrastructure's ability to handle new development, that right turn lane at any one discrete intersection is such a small component of kind of the larger transportation review that I don't think we're jeopardizing ourselves from any planned future development that I'm aware of in the area. However, if at some future point in time, again, because this land exists within the current Spear Street right-of-way, there would be the opportunity to add to that intersection for any purpose, be it the right turn lane in the future or anything else we might want to do with that space.
Okay, is that adequate, Tom?
It is, and I always respect greatly Tim and Matt's experience on the DRB. You've seen projects and experience, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on the right-hand turning lane regarding how that might factor into housing developments along Spear Street and the judgment before the DRB board and previous experience.
Matt, do you want to comment?
Well, in fact, we for a development just south of there, part of South Village, but just south of that intersection, we in fact ruled that after a new traffic study that there wasn't the traffic to warrant I guess it was a left turn intersection. Justin probably knows better than I do, could recall better than I do, but so yeah, I would agree with Justin's assessment. And, you know, I was also one of the ones that questioned whether we should give up a right turn lane now that we have it. After reviewing the map, understanding much better now how that connection is going to be made, realizing that we do have the ability, should we ever need it back, to reclaim that and rebuild that. Should a developer wish to develop some other parcel near there, I'm comfortable going ahead with the contract. I don't know how Tim feels, but I apologize for the delay, but I think those questions had to be, I wanted to get a full vetting of those questions and see it. And I appreciate Justin and Ashley forwarding that so we could more further review it.
Tim, do you have any additional questions, or are you set?
Yeah, I'm set. I'm going to drop my objections.
Okay. So are we ready to
Ellen, I'll
consider?
move. Yes,
Great.
I will move to approve the bid award for Allen Road Shared Use Path and authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute a contract for construction services with the winning bidder, which is Cortland Construction.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, anyone opposed? So the motion carries 5-0. Okay, moving along to item 3. This is the resolution that we put off for 2 weeks regarding personal protection equipment in city-owned buildings and in places of public access within the city of South Burlington. What we had before us, what people wanted to consider, was whether we should join the governor and the state of Vermont and lots of other communities, not all, in eliminating that requirement. So what are is there any comments or additional information? Tim?
Just want to hear from Kevin about City Hall and city property or city,
Okay.
enclosures like the library. What his opinion is for that. I'm ready to repeal it for all the commercial entities, but I want to hear his input about the city properties.
Oh, we are too, Tim. We talked about it today, our HR team, Tom and I, and we're ready to do the same. That's where the science is leading right now. And so we're willing to remove that requirement if you so choose. So for all city buildings.
Does
Do
that
we want to do
include
something?
schools?
Go ahead.
I mean, are
Say again?
schools considered city buildings, or is that school board city buildings?
I think the reality is that the managers, the owners of a property will still have the ability on their own to require
Oh,
people to
okay.
wear masks and social distance if they choose. So if the school district chooses to continue to require masks, they can certainly do that. Or
Okay.
if any hotel or restaurant or proprietor can choose to do that. So.
Okay.
That's exactly right. I attended a meeting with Secretary Curley, the Agency of Commerce, and there's no restrictions on businesses or putting restrictions in place that require masks. You could say no shirts, no shoes, no masks, no service. But as you know, traveling through South Burlington this past weekend, some have already moved to the CDC guidelines on their windows, even though we haven't rescinded. So I think it's time that we rescind the mask mandate.
Okay, Tim,
I do agree.
So do all we have to do is just make a motion to repeal our current PPE mandate, or is
Yep.
the heck was it
Just to
called?
rescind that resolution.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I move that we rescind the resolution about PPEs during the COVID period.
I will second, but I have a few comments to make, Helen.
Hey, Matt, can you
Matt,
mute?
if you could mute, that would be great. We love hearing the sports going on there behind you, but I'm just, it's hard for me to focus. I just wanted to say that there are still some people who have not been given the opportunity to vaccinate themselves, and that is children below the age of 12. I have one child. And so I want it to be very clear that there will still be people who will need to wear masks, and that is children below the age of 12 and all people who are not vaccinated. Those children still remain vulnerable, and as we are responsible for all our residents, I want that to be made clear. I am willing to vote to rescind this, but that does not mean that we are all in the clear. That means that we still must remain responsible and that we must remain thoughtful. And this falls on individuals who are not vaccinated, who hopefully will be vaccinated very soon, and on their parents or guardians in the case of minors. There are also individuals who refuse to get vaccinated. They will not be protected. They can choose not to wear a mask. And as we know, and I think it's important for us to, as we follow the CDC guidelines, to also reiterate what the CDC is saying, that becoming sick with COVID is worse than becoming vaccinated. If you get sick with COVID, you potentially have long-term heart issues, lung issues, and major organ issues. So this is not to say we're all in the clear, but this is to say that we respect people and that we value their judgment and that we hope that everyone will continue to care for one another. And we care for one another by taking care of ourselves, which is vaccination. Thank you.
Okay. I agree. Are you, Tim?
Just a quick adder to that is that, you know, every individual should play defense towards the end of this pandemic, and it's not over yet. So if for any reason you feel uncomfortable in an indoor location or an outdoor location where you think the density of people is too high, regardless of whether you're vaccinated or not, you should wear your mask. Anybody who wants to wear their mask should feel comfortable wearing their masks. I don't think anybody should feel slighted for wearing a mask in public if they want to. And I personally will be wearing my mask indoors in certain situations when I feel like there are too many people around me and I just don't know. So
Oh, I agree. Especially if you have a cold.
Yeah, and right now, allergies, pollen, right? So we're finding out that the mask has other benefits. So I agree with Megan. But I think we need to just repeal it so that our businesses aren't dealing with ambiguities and irate customers who expect the CDC to be honored in the business, and then the employees are tasked with trying to, you know, reconcile those two situations, and that's unfortunate.
Okay.
Correct. So,
Agreed.
yes.
Is there any further discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries 5-0. Number 4, consider and sign disbursements. We got a memo from Tom Hubbard.
So I will move to approve the disbursements.
In a
Second.
second. We've got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor then signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, that's a 5-0. And lastly, we authorize the city manager to execute the SFY 2021 Vermont Plans Transportation Alternatives Program grant agreement to fund the design and construction of the Phase 1 Spear Street Bike and Ped Improvement Project. As I recall, this is one of the projects that the Bike and Ped Committee have promoted, and this is like a matching grant that will allow us to do the initial planning, correct?
It says design and
So-
construction.
Okay, Ashley, do you want to make a comment?
I just was going to say it's for the design and construction. So it's the maximum award was for 300,000, and we'll be starting the design and moving into construction. So both of those.
Okay, great. Any questions, discussion? Tim?
How many trees have to come down, Ashley? Do we have a design yet?
We don't. I'll know more once we start looking into the layout and conceptuals. So
Thanks.
Looks like Bob Britt might want to make a comment. Bob, did you want to say something? You had your little light on.
Thank you.
Okay. So are you ready for the vote? Okay, I need a motion to authorize this.
So moved.
In a second? It's moved and seconded. Are you ready for the vote? Okay, all in favor of authorizing the city manager to execute the whole thing? Signify by saying aye. Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that carries 5-0. That does it for our agenda. And I don't believe there were any other items that were added.
Tom has his hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Tom?
It's very likely the governor is going to eliminate or raise all remaining restrictions on Memorial Day. Do you think our June meeting, we want to be back in person? I just want to get a feel so I can plan accordingly.
I sure would like to be back in person in June.
And
If not
Kevin,
the first meeting, at least the second.
I'm comfortable. I'll be vaccinated, fully vaccinated Monday or June 1st for sure. What I would say though is, can we still let people dial in? Because this has worked quite well for some people.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're working on that right now, Megan.
Okay.
Paul Connor, the Planning Commission and DRB use this device, this kind of eye thing that will duplicate a computer. So you all could be on camera as a group and be heard as a group, and others could be dialing in remotely.
Nice. Great.
Um,
And will we get to see them on the screen to our left or?
Yeah, I think that's how that works. I think it has both way. I know that I know the DRB uses it sometimes. Matt, do you recall how that works? It's been a while.
Yes, we used it, but we just used it for a commissioner or a board member that needed it. I'm not sure how it would work with the public, but I'm sure it can. I just don't know how.
Yeah, could we just project the go-to meeting that we're all seeing here on our screens on the wall there to the left of us?
Our tech folks are working on this. If you
Okay,
tell me
great.
that you want to do this for the June 7th meeting, I'll get them moving quickly on it and get a report back to you as to whether or not it's feasible. I think it is feasible, but I'll get a confirmation.
Tom?
partly where my question was coming from. Kevin, when are you done? Because I will not be in Vermont for the late June meeting and the early July meeting. And if we want to do a send off in person, the early June meeting is the only time that I'll be here in the state. But when do you wrap up, Kevin? And how do I make sure I celebrate and to recognize all the great work for the city of South Burlington before I head out?
Thank you, Tom. That's kind. Tom and I are done at 5 p.m. on Wednesday, the 30th of June.
So out of there, like,
And if
you
the
know.
phone rings, and if the phone rings at
That's not
4:59.
Yeah.
If the phone rings at 4:59, Mega, I'm taking that call.
Okay.
Shortly thereafter, we'll be done.
Thomas, we'll figure that out. But if the goal is to try it out on the 7th, that would be great. And definitely on the, whatever is the next one, the 21st or something. That would be
Those two
great.
will have to be remote. So if I want to participate, or if you want me to participate, I'll have to be dialing in or zooming in on the late June and the July.
Okay. All righty. Well, we can't change the calendar. But thank you. And if other people have vacation times they know about, Tom had told me about his, please let me know as well so we can try not to have a major issue when you're away. But, okay, so if there's no other business, Tim?
Yeah, Kevin, can you mail out maps to all of us about where the city hall is so we can find it again? Because I've forgotten.
I'll arrange it so that Google knows, so you can Google map it.
Cool,
Okay.
thanks.
Oh, and Thomas, I want to remind you, I sent a confidential email to the council, and I would like you to respond. So please look for that. You
May
got it about a
17th.
week ago. It was in the throes of the final legislature, so I'm not surprised that you didn't respond, but Megan was the only one who did. And I need to know some things, so. Okay, well, I guess we're a motion to adjourn
So moved.
and seconded, and all in favor? Signify by saying aye. All right. Have a nice Memorial weekend. I'm heading out west to go RVing with all my girls at Lake Powell, so I'm
Lovely.
gonna have fun.
Avalon from the Open Paper wants us to have a longer meeting, so you guys just want to drag this out some more and.
Sure. I got a couple resolutions here we can discuss.
Yeah, right, okay. Okay, bye, thanks.
Good night, everybody.
Good
Good
night.
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 This conference is no longer being recorded.